Ballet is one of the most expensive sports there is. So while you might have the inner longing to dance your heart out on a pair of pointe shoes, you might look at the price tag and wonder how on God's green earth you're supposed to pay for all this stuff.
But as an adult beginner ballerina who's gone from dancing once a month to dancing 5 days a week in one of the most expensive cities in the world, I have a lot to share on this topic.
Now keep in mind that I am not a financial guru, but I am a Capricorn, which essentially means that getting my bank account in order is a damn near spiritual experience. So today, I'm gonna expose the truth behind exactly how I afford to live and dance in New York City and how you can fund your own dance journey on any budget from anywhere. Question that I get constantly along my dance journey that I find to be irksome, shall we say? And the question is this: does my husband finance me?
Okay, in all fairness, it is a valid question. I do understand why people would be curious about that. And personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with two partners deciding how they want to support one another's dreams in the context of their relationship. But how often do we assume that a woman is behind a man's success just because he's married?
What's more inflammatory to me, however, is the fact that what I really hear behind these comments is essentially a get out of jail free card. The assumption that I somehow have it easy not only mitigates so much of my hard work, but it becomes an excuse that absolves people of responsibility.
You see, this is exactly why I can't follow my dreams. Because unlike some people, I don't have a rich husband to fund everything I want to do.
Yeah, me neither.
This is water, by the way. I don't know if you caught that.
Okay, let's be honest. Money is a much more layered topic than I'm really gonna have time to get through in just one video alone. Everybody's financial situation is completely different. I totally respect that.
Like, you can say and think whatever you want about me, but I just think it's pretty sad when people hold themselves back from their own ambitions because of this comparison game that they're playing based off of stories that they made up about other people and aren't even true.
All I can really do is share from my unique perspective and experience as the red-blooded American woman that I am. But before we get to any of that, let's set the record straight.
Yes, it's true that living with a partner like my husband certainly makes living in an expensive city like New York a lot easier, just the way that most people get roommates to afford living here. But what's also true is that I grew up working class, and because of this, I learned that if I wanted something, I had to work really hard for it. What's also true is that I moved to this apartment by myself, by saving up over $10,000 of my own money before my husband even moved in with me. I also make pretty constant sacrifices for the sake of my dreams and work several different jobs to afford my lifestyle. But that's enough about me. Let's talk about how you can start to fund your dance dreams. Before we get to the more actionable steps, however, we need to talk about a much larger problem just for a second. Hopefully you know me well enough by now to know that there's always a larger problem with me, and it basically always circulates around mindset. Because it does! Your mindset counts for just so much. So I just want to remind you that if you're actually interested in getting answers for your financial concerns, you have to be willing to shift from focusing on the problem to seeking solutions. I know there might be tons of people out there who are feeling trapped and stuck because of money, and I completely understand how that feels on a visceral level. But you have to ask yourself whether or not your current stories and beliefs surrounding money are actually helping you or hurting you. And if you feel like they're hurting you, keep watching. Let's talk about some creative ways that you can dance on a tight budget. And we're actually going to talk all about how to expand that budget in just a moment, but let's start here. Just like I shared in this video, there are so many different creative ways to make money as a dancer, and having an open mind is going to take you so much further than having a critical, negative, or clothes mind is going to.
And similarly, there are lots of different creative ways that you can start your own dance journey, even on a limited budget, as long as you're willing to try some alternative paths. We know I love an alternative path.
For example, you could try the virtually endless array of free dance classes available right here, right now on YouTube from people like Catherine Morgan, Ballet with Isabella, Ati Kamal, Lazy Dancer Tips, and so much more.
This has actually been a really huge help in my own dance journey, and learning from them has actually made my in-studio time a lot more effective. I'm able to iron out any struggles I might be having and practice them at home, and then that way when I get to the studio the next time, I'm that much more prepared.
You could try taking online courses or programs, which are often a lot more affordable and a lot more laser focused than just taking a bunch of random drop-in classes. You could try taking dance classes at a gym, many of which are beginning to offer more serious dance classes that actually teach you real technique. And so for the price of just one gym membership, you could take a virtually endless array of different dance classes. Now, these are actually just a few of the tips that I share in my Late Bloomer's Guide to Your First Ballet class, which tells you everything from how to dance wherever you are in the world to my favorite dance studios, my favorite dance brands, and so much more. So if you're interested in that, you can get that for free with the link in the description down below. And with that out of the way, let's talk about some actionable, practical steps that you can start taking to afford your wildest ballet dreams.
I'm going to be brutally honest with you and tell you something most people don't really want to admit. Most of us assume that the answer to all of our problems is going to be more money, more stuff, more. But for a lot of us, not all, but for a lot of us, our greatest need is not actually more money, it's just more awareness of where the money that we already have is actually going. How many times do you hear people say things like, I get my paycheck and it feels like it's gone in an instant? Like, are you aware of what's actually happening to a majority of your money? Do you know what services you're subscribed to? Do you know how much you spend in a year on meal delivery services or cocktails or new clothes or new gadgets? Like, what is going on with what you already have?
A few years ago, I started tracking my annual spending, and the number I came up with for clothes alone, kind of disgusting.
I was mindlessly blowing my paycheck all the time on clothes that I didn't even like or even own anymore. Why? And while I definitely still enjoy thrifting and makeup and all of that stuff, I would rather be putting a vast majority of that money towards my current priorities.
Okay, so my current biggest priorities are saving and investing, my dance journey, obviously, and living in New York City because that's such a huge part of my dance journey. These are the biggest things that I care about currently. These are my biggest priorities.
Everything else falls in line after that, which means I give up a lot of things. I never really order takeout. I never have an updated phone. I don't travel as much as I used to. Up until recently, I hadn't gotten a haircut in the past 3 years. Basically, if it's not absolutely necessary and it doesn't absolutely light me up, I'm probably not going to prioritize making space for it in my budget. But the pressure to conform to our hyper-consumerist society is so real.
For example, for the longest time, I had one of the oldest possible iPhone models that you could still physically have. Like, it was essentially an iPod Nano, okay? And I wasn't complaining about it. I was secure in my decision to have an older style phone because I don't really feel the need to run right out and buy the latest distraction contraption when I have one that works perfectly fine right here. But so many people would constantly point it out, make fun of me for it. They'd just constantly be like, you really have to get a new phone. You really have to get a new phone. And I would just be like, what are you people getting a kickback from Apple or something? Like, how does this affect you at all? But then a lot of my friends would be like, well, I mean, you never text me back. And it's like, yeah, babe, I have news for you. That's not the phone. that's all me, okay? I'm just annoying.
I also used to get a lot of flack from people about living in such an expensive city like New York. People from my hometown just didn't really understand why I wanted to live in a shoebox apartment for so much money. And sometimes it really is difficult. But at the end of the day, I just don't value having a larger space enough right now to justify living in a place that's not New York. I'm here for the opportunity and the magic and the buzz that New York City provides. And most New Yorkers are here because they're following some kind of dream. So I don't really want the car, the house. I don't want all of that stuff right now. I just don't value that enough right now. So it's really critical to know what your biggest personal priorities are, especially if they differ from greater society, because it's easy to get caught up in the trap of trying to fit in. The truth is, yes, I pay high rent for a small hellhole of an apartment here in New York.
Oh my God. Constantly my life.
But I'm also hyper aware of my priorities and where exactly my money is going or not going.
Personally, right now, I don't really want a bigger space or more stuff to manage. Like, I can't even keep the space that I have now clean. Look at this. I also save about $15,000 a year alone just on not having a car. And I really enjoy walking everywhere. It keeps the butt looking phenomenal. So cost and worth are two very different things. And that's something I learned from the amazing financial resource that is the hit 2009 romantic comedy, Confessions of a Shopaholic.
You want your scarf? I want my hot dog. Cost and worth are very different things.
Major friendly reminder alert. Just because someone looks like they have money does not mean that they actually do. And similarly, just because someone does have money doesn't necessarily mean that they don't still feel anxiety surrounding it. Allow me to explain. How many people do you know that are constantly complaining they're poor, but they always seem to have new clothes, a new car, the latest iPhone? And it's like, are you actually though? Because not feeling like you want to spend $25 on a dance class and then dropping $300 at Forever 21 is not the same as being poor.
And here's another little secret. Many people who are walking around with all the latest and greatest are actually drowning in credit card debt. So it's pretty critical to understand how you're actually making your buying decisions.
Like, are you making these decisions based off impulsive feelings riddled with guilt and buyer's remorse, or off of cold, hard facts about what's in your bank account?
Now, everyone has their own preferences, but personally, I think budgeting is hot and sexy because it gives me a lot of peace. And what could be hotter than a woman in control of her own bank account? And there's two different budgeting methods that I like to use in my own life: the forward method and the backward method.
The forward method is this. If I want something, I first create a budget for it, and then I automate the process of putting a percentage of every paycheck towards that budget. So moving forward, I'm creating a nest egg for that thing.
I have a budget for everything. Rent money, dance classes, travel, everything. And all of it is automated.
And don't worry, I'm gonna explain exactly what I mean by automating the process in just a minute, so hang on.
Doing it this way removes any guilt or anxiety surrounding an expense because, number one, I'm only doing what I can actually afford to do. And number two, this is money I've specifically put away for this thing. The bills are paid, everything else is taken care of, so I feel good about spending this money because that's what this money is for.
So your personal income is going to indicate how much you can actually put away towards a certain goal. There was a time when I could only afford to put an extra $25 a month away towards my dance goals, so I only went to the studio one time per month and I really relied on independent learning from home. Now, thankfully, I can afford a lot more than that, so I get to go to the studio a lot more often.
But maybe you want to be able to create a larger budget for some of your goals. And that's where the backwards method comes in.
You start by creating a dream budget. So let's say you want to take one dance class per week, equaling $100 per
month.
So this is where you could work backwards to say, okay, so how can I put an extra $100 a month towards my goal? Maybe you cut other unnecessary costs like subscriptions you're not using or extra takeout meals. Maybe you get a second job or a side hustle or sell a bunch of your old clothes on Depop. These are just a few of the things that I've personally done, but it's not even a fraction of the different creative ways that you could put money towards your goals, as long as you're willing to stay open-minded. Let's talk about automation. Once you know what your priorities are, it's really helpful to create a system of automatically contributing to your priorities first. And by the way, this is totally free to do. It takes about 20 minutes to an hour of your time to set up properly, and it saves you so much of your precious time and money moving forward, basically for the rest of your life. Because once it's set up properly, all you really need to do is just go in once a week or every couple of weeks to make sure that everything's on the up and up. So instead of your money managing you, you are managing your money.
And if you're relying on willpower alone, your money is probably going to end up getting frittered away on a million little things that don't really matter as much to you. The best thing to do is just take it right off the top before it has a chance to go anywhere else.
And P.S., the government knows that relying on willpower alone will pretty much never work, which is exactly why they take their cut long before your paycheck even gets to you. You can set up an automation system at virtually any bank these days, and if you're not sure how to do it, then definitely just give them a call and ask them to guide you through it. And honestly, if your bank doesn't offer this, then you might want to find one that actually does. Before I used an online banking method, I actually used a series of labeled envelopes that I would disperse money into after each paycheck. But I'd really recommend looking into online banking if you can, because it's a lot less effort, time, and willpower. Now, there are lots of different ways that you can set up different automations, and I'm definitely no expert, so I've linked a bunch of books down below that will be a much better step-by-step guide in helping you set something like that up for yourself. Always a good rule to live by: never take advice from people in places you do not want to be in. It's the person who has the worst relationship possible trying to tell you that you need to lower your dating standards.
It's the person who's never even left their hometown that keeps trying to convince you how dangerous it is to travel.
And similarly, it's the person with no savings, no goals, no future plans, and virtually no idea what they're doing with their own money that loves to tell you how money sucks, how evil it is, and makes you feel stupid for wanting a healthier relationship with it. Money is a tool. That's it. And how you choose to use that tool is totally up to you.
And let's be honest, do you really think these exact same people wouldn't be the very first to knock on your door if you someday owned, let's say, a penthouse? I didn't think so.
So I would not suggest that you blindly take all of this from me. What I would suggest is that you listen to the experts and educate yourself. So definitely check out some of those books and other resources below, because these are the things that have helped me get on track financially and are allowing me to follow my wildest dreams of living and dancing in New York City. And hopefully, they help you too.
Knowledge is power, and I really think that everybody should be educated on money management. Like, it's crazy that we don't even learn this in school, but I think that everybody should have the right to feel the freedom that comes with being empowered to understand what's going on with your own money. Therefore, then be able to achieve and pursue some of their biggest creative dreams. Because not understanding how their money works is a huge thing that holds so many people back.
And if you liked this video, you're probably going to love this video all about different ways that you could earn a living from ballet dancing. So I hope you enjoy that. I hope you enjoyed this video. And until next time, keep following your dreams and have a lovely day. Bye!